In today's video, we are going to talk about which one is the right Salesforce certification for you. I usually get a lot of questions around this because there are so many certifications in Salesforce. There are admin certifications, dev certifications, architect certification, consultant certifications, and then now there are other certifications around some specific clouds on industries. So there are so many certifications. The moment you are basically the moment you go to that certifications page, you see there are so many certifications, and it's very natural or very obvious for anyone to get confused and start, or to get overwhelmed and start thinking that which is the right certification that they should try and do. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm just going to quickly talk about Salesforce certifications. Why do these certifications matter? What is the importance of certification? What are the most common myths around the certifications? And I'll try to burst the myths. And if you have to do a certification, which one can be the right one for you to begin with, and what can be the following certifications which you can plan for? So that's what we are going to discuss. All right. So let's get started. So first of all, let's get started with the most important question. Why do Salesforce certifications matter at all? So first of all, the important question: should you do a Salesforce certification at all? What are the advantages you will have? What can you expect by doing a Salesforce certification? What would be the advantage of doing a certification, and what would not be what is that one thing which you may not be able to achieve just by certification? So that's what we're going to talk. So first of all, let's talk about the good parts of the certification. So first of all, why do Salesforce certifications matter? Very important. So these 5 things here. So first, it's high demand because the Salesforce certifications are pretty high in demand. A lot of jobs related to Salesforce, be it an administrator's job, a consultant's job, a developer's job, architect's job, companies do prefer certifications. I would not say that they definitely need a certification. Most of the companies say that they prefer certified candidates compared to the other candidates who do not have a certification, but certification is certainly not the only criteria. So yeah, but anyhow, so certifications are high in demand. Certifications can help you with your salary boost. Of course, if companies are looking for candidates with certification, your chances of getting hired, your chances of switching from one job to other, become a little more. And you can definitely expect salary boost. Career growth, very good option for your career growth. If you are a fresher, it certainly helps you get your first job into the Salesforce ecosystem. Even if you are already working as a Salesforce professional and you're planning to make a switch, you're planning to basically grow up the ladder in your career, still certifications would help. Another important thing is credibility. Certification brings in credibility to your profile. So usually when I am talking to some candidates, when I am basically interviewing some candidates, and the moment I see certain certifications in the resume, it certainly gives me a little bit of confidence. It is something which basically enhances the credibility of the candidate, that the person has basically spent some time to get certified. Of course, would have read through a lot of theory, would have understood a lot of concepts to clear the certification. So certainly the credibility gets increased. But parallelly, let me tell you this, that at any point of time, it does not mean that, okay, fine, anyone who is certified will definitely be a rock star candidate. That's not the case. I have come across a lot of profiles, a lot of professionals who have got certifications, but their knowledge, practical knowledge, hands-on understanding were not up to the mark. So that is another point. So, but yeah, does it help you build credibility? Yes, of course it does. Certifications on your resume show up really well, and they give that confidence to your recruiter or to the HR team. So possibly it helps you boost your profile in the initial I would say the initial filtering, etc. based on certification it would happen better. So that is it. And of course, the last but definitely not the least, the learning part of it. The learning associated to the certification is definitely one of the major things. Okay. Now, why am I talking about the learning part here? Because see, you cannot just go and write a Salesforce certification without reading, studying a lot. Okay. So to do any certification, you will have to basically you start with preparing for the certification, understanding the overall structure of the certification, different topics which are part of it, and then you start preparing, and it requires considerable amount of preparation. So there is a lot of learning which also happens when you're preparing for a certification, when we are going for a certification. And if you have cleared a certification, that certainly means that you have learned a lot in that process of preparing for the certification. So otherwise, what happens usually, and this is from my personal experience, we continue to work on certain things on a regular basis, but sometimes we do not get too much involved in the theoretical aspects of it, etc. But when you're going for a certification, for example, I'll give you an example. So if you're creating, let's say, lookup relationships, master detail relationships, etc. So I may be creating these relationships on a regular basis, but the moment I start preparing for the certification, I start getting into details like how many lookup relationships are allowed, how many master detail relationships are allowed. So eventually that helps me build additional knowledge, and that I can always leverage while working on my next project, etc. So of course, these are the 5 important things which are these are 5 important things which basically make the Salesforce certification really worth it. Okay. Now, a few basic myths and the reality about certifications and some myths in general. Let's talk about those, because I see people have got some very common myths, and I want to talk a little about that. So first myth is certification guarantees a job. This is a myth. It can increase the chances. Sorry for the spelling mistake here. It can increase the chances, but it does not guarantee a job. Okay. So for getting a job, or for switching from one job to the other job, for getting promoted in your current role, you definitely would need hands-on practice and hands-on knowledge. There is nothing that can beat your hands-on knowledge, and that's practice, experience, working on projects. That is very important. Even if you do not have a real project, try to work on capstone projects, dummy projects, whatever, take up scenarios, etc. But work on those. Hands-on is very important for getting a job. Certification, as I said, it would definitely give you that initial boost. Let's say when the HR is filtering out profile, they may give you preference based on your certifications, etc. When you are attending an interview, of course the interviewer will have that thing in mind that you have got a few certifications, so that is going to be definitely a plus. But can it get you a job? No. Only certification cannot get you a job, but along with that, you will also need to have hands-on experience. The next myth is only coders succeed in Salesforce. So this is not exactly related to certification, but yeah, a big myth, which again I find a lot of people talking about this, that okay, fine, only coders, programmers, can succeed in Salesforce. So this is also not completely true, because there are a lot of business plus functional roles which are equally in demand. So there are a lot of roles, and Salesforce anyhow is moving towards building their platform which supports a lot of low code development processes, so where you really do not need to write code. So, and Salesforce is constantly working on bringing in new tools. Like now Flow is pretty powerful. A few years back they did not have some something as powerful as Flow for automating logics, etc. And we had to use Apex a lot of times. Now the Flow is quite powerful and it can deal with a lot of things, and Salesforce is, as I said, is putting in constant effort in enhancing that. So of course just coders will have success in Salesforce. That's not true. Plus anyone who has got a solid, strong business functional understanding, those roles are also pretty high in demand. The next one we will talk about is more certifications equals success. Now, this is another important myth. A lot of people feel that, okay, fine, if I have 12 certifications, 15 certifications, that basically gives me success. I would say it's not true completely, because it's not about having more certifications, but the keyword is right certifications. So you should not, doesn't matter if you have 5 certifications or you have 8 or 10. It matters when you have the right kind of certification. So if you have certifications which are right for your role, which are basically aligned to your role, the kind of role. So if you are a developer and then you are basically going for dev certifications like PD1, PD2, then of course the domain specialist certifications, the architect journey certification, so those will add value. Okay, so that is how it is. So it's never it's never important to have too many certifications. Of course, it's good for you to have certifications, as many as you can, but try to have the right certifications in place. So yeah, so success is not equals more certification, success equals right certification here. Okay, so that's the third myth that I wanted to talk about. Now, how do you decide then? So the last myth was about right certification, going for the right certification. Now, a very important question, very basic question. A lot of people come to me, ask me, how do we decide on the certification now? So before you actually start getting into the certification, because you will end up, getting, I think now they would have more than 50 at least certifications listed on their page. So rather than going to that big list of 50 and then completely getting confused and like, oh my God, I've got 50 certifications listed here, what do I do? Better than that, what you should do is try and understand the career path. So, these are the main career paths. There are a few more, but I have tried to list down the most common ones here, the most popular ones, most common ones where you have most job roles. So I've tried to bring in those here. So if you are able to decide, or if you know your career path, what suits you, which career path is right for you, then you can definitely try and understand the certifications which are aligned to that particular career path. Okay, I am going to make a few more videos on I'm gonna make a few more videos on each of these career paths and what certifications are there. And yeah, so I'll possibly make that in a different series of videos, and if I ever make that series, I'll possibly update the description section with the link for that. But for now, yeah, let's quickly understand what are the key career paths or the main career paths that you can take up. So there can be a path of administrator, business analyst, functional consultant, developer, architect. Okay, so administrators are the people who basically do the system admin roles and responsibilities, managing the system on behalf of the users, controlling their access, permissions, etc. So that's the role of an administrator. Business analyst, of course, we understand the role of a business analyst acts more like a bridge between the business and the development team. So the business analyst is the person who speaks to the business, and then he speaks to the development team, understands the requirement, translates the requirement to the dev team. That's the kind of role that business analyst plays. So business analyst, of course, is a role which requires a good solid understanding of the business. Functional consultants are people who are who understand the processes really well. Let's say a sales process, a service process, how does it work, and they understand the Salesforce capabilities for those. For example, if we are talking about Sales Cloud, a functional consultant, a sales consultant would understand the sales process in general very well, and will also have a very solid understanding of what are the capabilities of Sales Cloud, the Salesforce Sales Cloud. So that ways they can basically recommend what needs to be used, how this overall solution can be, etc. And they parallelly they can also give suggestions to the business in terms of how they should be leveraging some of the features, functionalities, capabilities which are available within the Salesforce clouds. Let's say a Sales Cloud or a Service Cloud, something like that. Developer is definitely the role of a developer is to develop new features, functionalities, write code, program, etc. And architect is the person who is the architect for the entire system, designing the system, controlling the overall architecture, ensuring the system is designed in such a way that it meets the performance requirements, it's able to interact with the other systems, etc. So that's the role of an architect. All right. So these are the 5 career paths. In case you are able to figure out which one of these is your career path, of course it would become very easy for you when you go to the certifications page on salesforce.com. You would basically if you know which role or which path is basically most aligned to your interest or your current career journey, then you will possibly get to see which certifications are aligned to that particular path. In case you are not at a stage where you are able to decide on this path, I think in the next slide I'm going to even simplify this further for you. Yeah, so this is the table. So if you are completely not aware where you stand, then I think this table can pretty much help you. Okay, so so if you are a complete beginner and you have no IT experience, the best certification for you would be an admin certification. So for absolute beginners who do not have any knowledge on Salesforce and people who are not from an IT background, for them admin certification is the right place, I would say, or the right certification to begin with. Okay, and as you grow up the ladder, you can then go for other certifications. So initially start with admin certification, but eventually as you move up the ladder, you can basically go for other certifications like advanced admin, business analyst, consultant. So this is a path which can be taken by absolute beginners. So if you are a beginner or if you do not have any IT experience, you are working on something else which is not IT and you want to move to Salesforce, begin with admin. So that's a good way to start, or that's a good point. That's a good starting point for you. Now, the next one is non-technical working professional. So in case you are a working professional, non-technical, but yeah, you have understanding of business, how the business process work, etc. You have been into sales, marketing, something like that. You can go for again an admin certification or a business analyst certification also. And eventually you can go to these certifications like Sales Cloud Consultant, Service Cloud Consultant, or Industry Consultant. So you can then begin as a business analyst certification or admin certification, and then you can move up the ladder by getting more expertise into specific clouds like Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, and then there are some industry related certifications as well. So you can get into those. Okay. If you are a software developer or if you are a beginner but you can write program code, etc., then you should try to get into the developer track, and the first certification that you can attempt is Platform Developer 1. While it's not required for you to have an admin certification before you go for Platform Developer 1, but I would recommend, because admin certification gives you or sets that platform for you to have that basic understanding which can be leverage to clear the Platform Developer certification, Platform Developer 1 certification. Okay, so PD1, and once you are onto this particular track, your future certifications can be PD2, Application Architect, System Architect. So those can be that can be the ladder for you. If you are an experienced admin, if you're already working as a Salesforce admin, experienced Salesforce admin, then of course go for a Salesforce Advanced Admin certification, and of course your future certifications can be related to CPQ, consultant, solution architecture. So those certifications can be part of your journey. If you are a sales service domain expert, if you are a sales service domain expert, then you can go for sales consultant or service consultant. Basically it should be Sales Cloud Consultant or Service Cloud Consultant. You can go for these certifications, but before you can go for a Sales Cloud or Service Cloud Consultant, there is a prerequisite for you to have an admin certification. So if you basically want to do any of these certifications, and if you already have this domain knowledge, the expertise of sales service processes, you understand these things really, really well, then go for the Sales Cloud or a Service Cloud certification. Okay, and for future, you can basically get into other certifications like industry specific certifications, Omni Studio Consultant, etc. So those can be your future certifications. Now, if you are a highly experienced professional and especially a highly experienced developer, let's say you have been doing development for quite some time, let's say 4 years, 5 years experienced developer, then you can attempt for application architect or a system architect certification. So application architect, system architect certifications, you cannot do directly. There are other prerequisite certifications which you need to do. And once you do those certifications, you get the application architect or system architect badge. I'm going to make a completely separate video on that, how do you get application or system architect certification. So I'm going to, make that. And eventually you can then start targeting the CTA. CTA is the I would say the topmost certification that you can hold in Salesforce. It's CTA basically stands for Certified Technical Architect. So a Salesforce Certified Technical Architect certification is the top in all the certification that you have for Salesforce. So yeah, if you are already experienced, if you have good development experience, if you have good understanding of Salesforce, then you can look for these certifications and eventually then look for the CTA certification, the Certified Technical Architect. So I hope this was helpful. This chart you can just refer to in case you are really not able to understand which certification to go for, etc. If you have any other questions, you can always put your questions in the comment. I would be happy. Or if you want me to specifically make a detailed video on any of these, I am possibly going to try and talk a little more in details about each of the certifications, at least the important ones. I cannot cover everything, but at least the important ones. And as I said, I plan to make a series, and if possible, I will share the link of that in the description. So that's one thing which I'm going to try to do. But if you want to know more about any particular certification or anything else, you can leave a comment. I would try to cover that in one of the videos. So that is there. And yeah, I think that's all for today. Thank you.